I've been researching catchphrases that have been used to launch new products or services. I came across a particularly interesting example. As strong as steel, as fine as a spider's web. Bill, what kind of product do you think that was used for?
You got me. I'm afraid I have no idea.
The answer is nylon. It was introduced in the mid-1930s as a substitute for silk in items such as parachutes.
Oh, now that I think about it, I've come across that slogan before. It's a classic, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You know, nylon is probably the most versatile synthetic material ever invented. It's cheap and durable and can be made into all kinds of products.
There's no question that synthetic materials have made many aspects of modern life cheaper, safer, and more convenient. But there's just one problem. How do we dispose of them after we've used them?
Yes, plastic waste disposal is a hot topic these days. Just look at all the media hoopla over the news that many coffee shops and fast food chains have banned plastic straws.
That's a good start. It's also a good way to raise public awareness of this important issue.
One of the main problems when it comes to plastic waste is that so much of the world's plastic output involves single-use objects, like drinking straws. In fact, a big proportion of all the world's plastic production is for food packaging and food-related objects like cups, plastic bags, and shrink wrap.
The problem is that most of those plastic products can't be easily broken down by microorganisms or chemical processes, unlike other forms of waste like paper and food. It can take hundreds of years for plastics to break down.
I recently read that less than 10% of all waste plastic is recycled worldwide. One reason is that discarded plastic food containers often have bits of food stuck to them. Apparently, that can interfere with various stages of waste processing. So many recycling plants won't handle food packaging.
Unfortunately, no one has really come up with materials that are as cheap, light, and durable as plastics. The result is a major man-made crisis.
It was really shocking for me to learn how much plastic there is in the oceans. Did you know they contain an estimated 5 trillion pieces of it? We're now seeing reports about big floating islands of plastic waste in the oceans. A lot of it is now in tiny particles called microplastics. Plastic garbage enters the maritime food chain, and that can cause serious health problems for marine creatures, and even kill them.
Yes, they mistake pieces of plastic for food and eat them. That can result in serious damage to their digestive systems, or fill them up so they don't have room for any real food. Not to mention the harm that chemicals contained in plastic garbage can cause to maritime life.
It's an incredibly daunting problem. The first step in any effort to clean up the oceans is separating the plastic into its various chemical types. What makes that difficult is the fact that sunlight and wave action have chemically and physically broken down much of the plastic garbage polluting the seas. Also, marine life forms such as seaweed and barnacles often attach themselves to this man-made debris.
You know, plastic has been around only since the 1950s, so we don't know how long it will last in the ocean.
That is so depressing. We really have screwed up our beautiful planet, haven't we? Sometimes I just want to throw up my hands in despair.
I know how you feel. But on the brighter side, some local authorities have made moves to ban certain plastics, such as grocery bags and the straws that have come to symbolize the current crisis.
Good to hear that. Every bit helps. There's growing interest in improving plastic recycling in the United States at both the consumer and industrial levels. Consumers should be encouraged to clean and sort their plastic waste. Businesses should be given tax breaks to invest in better technologies that sort and reuse plastics. And we need to create incentives for producers to buy and use recycled plastic.
Right you are. That's an interesting point about consumers and recycling plastics. The U.S. seems to be a bit behind Japan in this regard. Here in the States, it seems that single-stream recycling systems are still the norm.
Shota, you're quite right to point that out. Most people here in the U.S. place all recyclables in the same receptacle. That means you get a mixed stream of materials that takes time and money to sort and clean at recycling facilities.
Japan is further along the road when it comes to disposing of plastic waste by category. You throw away plastic drink bottles separately from other plastic garbage, for example.
Great. We should take a leaf from Japan's book.
Another reason we need to think about finding better ways to dispose of plastic waste is that incineration has fallen out of favor as a solution. It's been on the decline for the past couple of decades, in large part because of vociferous opposition from host communities and environmental organizations.
Then there's the fact that China stopped all plastic waste imports for recycling last year because it was concerned about their environmental impact on local communities. That threw the worldwide recycling industry into chaos.
It's up to us to face our responsibilities squarely and not offload our plastic waste on developing countries.
Agreed. Many public and private organizations are trying to find better solutions for recycling plastic waste. They include plastic producers and recyclers, universities, private foundations, advocacy groups, and regional governments. I'm cautiously optimistic that their efforts won't be wasted.